And we welcome you into our final edition of the Coaches Preview series. We sit down with every coach, we break down last season and look into next season. Well, today we wrap up with the women's team, and joining me today is Coach Sam Miller. Sam, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. How nervous are you on a scale of 1 to 10 right now?
It's probably say maybe like 7 or an 8.
7? Okay. Well, let's get into knowing about you. First time on the show, talk to me. I'm pretty sure you used to be a player for West Virginia, and we'll get into your coaching stuff after. Let's start with you and your connection to West Virginia.
Yeah. I went to West Virginia University. I got my degree in English, bachelor's degree in English with a minor in LGBTQ studies. My freshman year, we actually didn't have a hockey team, so I started playing rugby instead. I still wanted to, be active and make friends, but hockey wasn't an option anymore for me, so decided to do something different. And then my sophomore year, we ended up making a team, so I've kind of been here ever since. That first year, a little hard, not a lot of girls, not a lot of skaters, but definitely had some fun. And then COVID unfortunately took junior year from us, so didn't really get to play that. And then I was captain my senior year there. So
Yeah. Okay,
yeah,
good. Perfect. Now, if I remember correctly, my first year with the program, I believe you were an assistant coach. Now,
yeah,
last season you were the head coach.
yes
Going
sir.
into your second year, let's break down last season. First season as a head coach, what did you get into with that? And where were your expectations there for what your team was supposed to do?
Yeah, so I mean, a couple of things for me coming in as a head coach last year. I was kind of put in a unique position because those seniors on that team were girls on my team when I was a senior. So
Was
it put
that
me in
hard to adjust to?
a little bit. So it was kind of cool in some ways, right? Because I had a lot more knowledge on them than a different coach would because I've physically played with them. So I know how they play, which I think would make it a little bit easier for me to kind of set up lines and, see who plays well together and that sort of thing. But at the same time, I'm only like a year or two older than them. These are my friends. Like I've hung out with them, outside of hockey, obviously. They're teammates. So yeah, it was a little difficult in the aspect of just trying to find that line between coach and player. But to be completely honest, I think we did a pretty decent job there. In terms of the actual team and how that last season went, I think if you asked anybody from my team last year, I think we could all agree that we were a little bit disappointed. Um, since this program has started, we've been in the playoffs, and for last year to kind of be the first year that we didn't really make it there, not not really the best feeling. But I'm excited for this year, and we'll be back.
Yeah, and let's jump right into it. You get a whole kind of like a fresh start with the team. I believe
Yeah.
one returning senior, one junior, a few sophomores, and a whole
Mhm.
bunch of freshmen. What
Yeah.
what's that like going into that locker room knowing that, I mean, kind of your chemistry is not there anymore. You kind of lost all your chemistry that was built.
Hmm.
And what's it like welcoming in a whole new class that's never played collegiate club hockey?
Yeah. So I mean, for starters, I'm really excited about how young my team is right now. I think gives a lot of room to build and a lot of time for them to get to know each other and have that chemistry and get together type of thing. In all honesty, though, I think I would just say I mean I'm just overly excited about this year. I thought given the seniors that we lost and we had a couple of people transfer out as well, and a couple of people just not coming back in general. I thought it was kind of going to be a little bit more of a rebuild season, which obviously I still think it is because we're always rebuilding and continuing to build. We're a new program, but I think we have a lot more talent and a lot more people than I had originally expected coming into this. Um, you mentioned team chemistry. I think, in all honesty, this is probably the most confident I've been in my team's chemistry this early on. And I think one big reason for that is it seems like these new girls are a little bit more social. And they're pretty talkative. They're getting to know everybody. So when you're gelling off the ice like that with each other, it's a lot easier to gel on the ice. And then also, I have a couple girls who have already played together. So that made it kind of easy for us. They played like travel hockey together. So coming into this with us, they already kind of know how each other play. So it's been nice.
Yeah, for sure. And how much of this team do you look towards, your returning players to help mentor the younger players?
I mean, a lot, but it is definitely a little bit harder, right? Because I do still have such a young team. Like you mentioned, I only have, like a couple of upperclassmen. So with that, the mentorship is a little harder, I think. But I think they've done a really good job. I mean, so far, like I said, they've been trying to get together outside of class. I know that they've been trying to do like study sessions and stuff like that to help the freshmen kind of adjust to that new workload because it is definitely a new adjustment, especially when you add a sport on top of it. But definitely look into my upperclassmen and my returners here. But I think they've done a pretty good job so far.
Yeah. And let's break that down a little bit more now. I mean, you're 21 days away from the season, I
Yeah.
think. At the time of this going out, I think it's gonna be 21 days. Your first game's a Friday, I'm pretty sure. Um, I don't know. What's that like? You're dwindling down on practices. How confident are you that you'll be ready to put a performance on the ice that you're ready for?
I mean, I'm pretty confident. Um, right now for us, one of the biggest things, like I mentioned, is that chemistry. So just trying to figure out who is going to work the best together, right? I feel like I have a lot of different combinations that I can go with, given the amount of girls that I have, which is also nice and not something that I've really had the ability to do in the past. We've always kind of been a bit smaller of a team. Not that we're big right now by any means, but at least having three full lines as forwards is kind of nice for me because I get to play around within those lines. But I'm pretty confident. We're looking to just do more sort of like system stuff and getting into offensive, defensive zone, power play, penalty kill, that type of stuff. That's what we're starting to work on here in the upcoming weeks. So
Yeah, and for sure. So I heard from a little birdie. I won't shout her out completely, but I heard that that Niagara and Ohio State are both out of your conference now. What kind of factor does that play in to?
yeah, so I'm not entirely sure about Niagara. I know OSU, they went to a different league. I believe still within the ACHA, but I think they're in with like the Liberty group. That that league. I could be wrong. Not entirely sure on that. Niagara, we're still set to play Niagara, and I haven't heard anything about them not being in the
Oh,
league. We
so then
just
I just
had
got false information.
yeah,
Is
yeah.
that
I
what
don't
I'm
know.
hearing?
We just had a
Cool,
league meeting the other night, and Anna was in it, so I think they're
cool.
still there. But in terms of OSU not being there, I mean that's kind of big for us in a way because when you look at our previous seasons, I feel as though our biggest competition and our kind of our wall that we hit are usually Mercyhurst and Ohio State. Everybody else in the league, I'm fairly confident when it comes to them and winning those games and getting those points to try and get to that playoff spot. But OSU and Mercyhurst are definitely like the top two, I would say, big ones, I guess, within our league besides ourselves, obviously. So with OSU gone, I mean, eyes are on the prize, but you can't jump too quickly on that one, right? You don't know what kind of talent other teams are bringing in. I mean, Pitt and RMU, they're still pretty strong, and I mean, even Niagara's got a pretty good team under them too. So definitely not trying to jinx anything or anything like that, but like I said,
Gotcha.
I'm pretty confident in this season, and I'm pretty excited. So.
Yeah, for sure. Just a few more questions. Let's start off here. A lot more home games this season compared to seasons in the past. I know that's been a big talking point when I've talked to you off the record, and it's been a little bit of a, strong suit. What's that like knowing that you're not going to be having to cram into a van for, I don't know, 6 hours or so?
Yeah, so I mean, we'll kind of go back and forth from season to season with this, right? Like last year, we didn't have very many home games, which means this year we do because you're basically just switching sides with teams. But in all honesty, I don't mind the travel that much. It kind of forces my girls to hang out with each other and get to know each other, which again, like, kind of gets you going with that chemistry and that flow off of the ice, which then can translate onto the ice. So I personally don't mind it, but I do think it's probably a pretty good thing for the freshmen, at least for the most part, because they're already trying to adjust. And the first half of the season, we definitely have a lot of home games here, so at least they won't be having to do their homework on the vans, for the first half of the season. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I don't really mind it either way.
Yeah, that's good. I like how you think of it as like a forcing opportunity there. I thought that was clever. Before we get to our last question here, I heard from a birdie that you're also a Bills fan. Care to
Always.
share what shirt you're wearing today? I
Nah,
guess.
not today. All right, my backup team has always been the Steelers. I gotta have
He
a
actually
number
says
two.
backup team. Just pointing that out there.
And
Backup team.
and actually, listen, if you're a Bills fan, you always have a backup team. No, I'm just kidding. But it's funny because in my hockey preferences, it's flipped. So my number one team for hockey is the Penguins, and number two is the Sabres.
See how that works? I don't get how that works, but I can't.
Go
I know
Bills.
I actually can't talk because I'm a Steelers fan, a Blue Jackets fan, and a Tampa Bay Rays fan.
Oh,
So
okay. Yeah,
I'm
you're
every
all over the place.
I'm every which way on the map. But lastly, let's wrap it up here. Or actually, I have two more. Actually, I lied. What's the game that's going to be your game that realizes your team is good or your team's going to need improvement this season? What's like your breakout game for you?
I mean, I think in general, after every game, we can always, improve and have some improvement there. I think, one that's going to say a lot about my team, I guess, I would say Mercyhurst. And one of the reasons I say that, obviously, because they are, one of the top contenders in our league. But at the same time, last year, when we played them, first game we played them, played absolutely horrible. First game we lost like literally, I think it was like 11-0, 11-1. Like it was absolutely disgusting. Like we had a team meeting in the hotel afterwards because we basically were like, this, that was embarrassing. That's nothing that can happen again. There's absolutely no reason why we can't play with that team. And the next day we came out and we won an OT. So I think if they can get past that mental block of that first game that they played last year, at least for my returners, we'll have a pretty good shot here. But that's probably going to be one of the bigger ones, in my opinion.
Yeah, and obviously, you talked about looking ahead. Where do you look ahead for your team for the season? What is the bar that your team can set for the season? What do you expect from your team?
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say I expect like a lot out of my team, but I think we're all coming in with one common goal, and that's to bring some hardware home. Kind of show the boys that they're not the only ones in Morgantown that know how to win. So
Yeah, I mean D2's going back to back. You got some work to do there, as they look for the
we're ready
three-peat.
for it.
So,
We've been putting in
yeah,
the work ourselves. So, and
yeah.
at the end of the day, it looks great for both of us. So we're all here trying to grow the same program. So the more championships we can bring home, maybe one year we'll have 4. That'd be nuts.
That would be something. Well, is your first game a home game or away game? Forgive me for not knowing off the top of
It is home. So I mean, we have
my
a
head.
scrimmage. Like we scrimmage a couple of teams the first couple of weeks, and then I believe it's the 4th of October. I just don't remember. It's either RMU or uh, I think it's
Okay, it's
RMU.
one of the two teams. But regardless, are you excited to get the season finally underway? Are you done with
It's RMU.
practices?
Oh, I'm very excited for games to start up again. Obviously, it's the most fun part of the sport. Some might argue, but like I said, we've been putting in a lot of work at practice. So I'm more than anything, I'm excited to see how they translate into a game time. So, and I think they're excited to see it too. So,
Well, Sam, it's been a pleasure having you. This is going to wrap up our coaches series on Mountaineer Hockey Network. Coming up on Sunday, the Mountaineer Hockey Network is traveling to Wheeling, West Virginia, as the boys Division One team takes on Pitt, and then following that immediately after, Division Two takes on Ohio. So we hope to see you and tune in for those series. Sam, it's been a pleasure. I thank you for being on here.
thank you,
Let's
thank
go.
you. Go Bills.
Okay.